Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome. So glad to have you here for another Sarah National session. My name is Jenny Anchondo, and I am here with you each and every week as the host and moderator of these events, just to kind of set the stage. Listen, I'm the person at the event where you show up, you walk in the door, and you're thinking, uh-oh, what do I do here? I greet you and say hello and give you the rundown. So the plan for today is that we are going to hear an incredible speaker. And if you've been with us for a while, you've heard from her before. She was definitely a fan favorite. People love Dr. Cassandra Bradford. And today we're talking about Business Basics 101. Don't turn out or tune out when I say basics, because she is anything but basic. She's going to be fun, entertaining, and engaging as she talks about some of those business basics. So it's always fun to learn in a fun environment, and that's what she's going to do today. Let me tell you a little bit about her before she starts with her presentation. She is the lead senior consultant at Genesis Preferred Solutions, which is a small business consulting and mentoring firm. So it really is ideal for this group. They specialize in business growth, development, and strategic opportunity planning, which results in multi-million-dollar contracts with Fortune 500 companies and municipalities. They always say it's like who you know, right? So here's who we know. We know Dr. Bradford, and she's going to help us out. She is the founder of the Run Women's Conference, which is now Run Entrepreneurial Conference, and her passion is fueled by educating small business owners and teens of the monetary and realistic outcomes and its global impact on the US economy. Now, she has been featured in all sorts of different articles, radio shows, national podcasts, Good Morning Texas, even MegaFest with Bishop T.D. Jakes, if you follow him. She has also authored 9 books. I don't know how she's done it all, but she's still generous enough to join us here today. So, Dr. Bradford, I'm going to mute myself, hand the floor over to you, and I will be taking notes so that we can do some Q&A on the back, and you guys don't be shy about your questions. Take it away, Dr. Bradford.
So we're going to have some fun today. I believe that learning should be fun. I believe that whatever we do in business should be fun because we are following our passion. We're following those things that we like to do, right? So Jenny has already told you guys all about me. I don't need to go any further with my resume on who I am and what I do, but I always have to stop at this slide to let you guys know that I used to be a crash test dummy, right? So when I worked in corporate America, um, back in 1982, I was a crash test dummy. I used to be a claims adjuster where they would stuff us in cars and they would crash them. And we didn't sign any disclaimers or anything. So I say all of this to say, if you guys hear me tell a bunch of jokes and you go, this girl is crazy, you guys know that I used to be a crash test dummy and I absolutely loved it. So Jenny told you guys that I'm with Genesis Preferred Solutions. She told you guys all about the Run Conference and all the stuff that we do with there. I started a Chamber of Commerce. I used to be a lobbyist. I lobby for small minority businesses and marginalized communities. I absolutely love it. I've written, it says 9 books, but I've written 11. And so right now I'm living my purpose and I am absolutely loving it. And I'll tell you, any business that you're thinking about starting, make sure that you absolutely love it. Because if you don't, it'll just be a job. Right. And so, how many of us are looking to leave our jobs, leave it 100%, right? Where this is no longer our side hustle or whatever we want to call it these days, but we want to do something that we absolutely love, right? I love small business. I can talk about small business all day long. So, we're getting ready to have some fun. So, I got to condense a 2 hour presentation into the little time that we have. So, if I talk too fast, you guys stop me, jump in. I'm okay with that. So, when we're getting ready to start a business, the first thing we have to do, right, is find out our name. What do we want to name the business? Right? So the name should be able to talk about our products or service, and the name should be able to grow when your business grows, right? So we don't start a business and we want to change the name every year, or you'll hear graphic artists that tell you you need to change your branding or your logo all the time. No, name recognition, logo recognition, right? Now, if you're going to improve it, that's one thing. But we should be able to name our business a name that when we grow, the business grows, right? So let me give you an example. So if I was a sock maker and I wanted to name my business Sock Maker USA, right? But maybe 2 years later or 3 years later, I start selling undershirts, t-shirts, hats, right? So would Sock Maker USA be a good name for my business? No, you would think I only sold socks. So we need to think 3 to 5 years down the line. Think big. This is your time to think big. Where do you see your business in 3 to 5 years? You're like, Cassandra, I just want to name it. Yes, but the name should be able to grow when you grow. And guess what? The name needs to be available with the county or the state that you're planning on filing your business structure. So that means that the name has to be available. So before you run out and get the website and the domain name and the t-shirts done, you need to make sure that the name is available with the county, right? So if you file an assumed name or a DBA, that's doing business as, you would file that at the county. But if you want to be an LLC or a C Corp or an S Corp, you would file that with the Secretary of State. So you want to make sure that that name is available either at the county level or at the state level. Okay? So don't go buy the t-shirts first, okay? Make sure that the name is available. And guess what? You also have to consider the liability and the risk associated with your business. That helps you to determine whether or not you should file at the county level or the state level. So let me give you an example of what I mean. So when you're thinking about your business, right? So we say, hey, I want to name my business Sock Maker USA. So what is the liability or the risk associated with your business? Okay, so let me give you an example. I have a client, she owns an armed security guard business, right? She has an armed security guard, which means she has guns and billy clubs and handcuffs. So the liability and the risk associated with her business is very high. Because what if one of her guards hit you over the head with a billy club? Now her personal assets are come into play, right? So you said, well, she can have insurance for that. Well, we're in the United States and people can sue you for anything. So you have to think about liability and risk associated with your company and what it does, because it also helps you determine how much money you're going to pay in insurance as well. So that liability is too great because a DBA or an assumed name, it means doing business as. That means that you are doing business as, or Cassandra is doing business as Sock Maker USA. That means that Cassandra, the person, will assume all the risk and the liability associated with the company. So even if I had a subcontractor or a W-9 that hit that person over the head with the billy club, now if they filed a lawsuit, whether it's I have insurance or not, my personal assets now become available. Okay, because I, the person, assumed the risk. So that maybe will tell you whether or not you want to maybe become incorporated, right? Because being incorporated gives you veil of protection, right? So let me give you another example. I have another client, she's 84 years old, and she's a ghostwriter, right? So if you want to publish a book and you want your book to, I don't know, be a thick book, I don't know. Well, she says her title is an adjective placement specialist. I love it. I love that title. Well, large pastors, they hire her to ghostwrite their book, right? She has no liability and risk because she makes only, they pay her a flat fee. She has no association with the book. She's editing the book, right? She's making sure that all the dangling participles are there, right? So she has no liability or risk associated with that business, with her business. She's just an editor. Okay. So a DBA, a doing business as, will be great for her. So, whatever your business is that you decide to do, you always have to consider number one, the name and the liability and the risk that's associated with the business, because it will help you to determine where you should file your structure. Your structure is your foundation. Okay. So your DBA is filed at the county level. That's that assumed name, doing business as, and your corporation is filed with the Secretary of State. Okay. So now you say, okay, well, Cassandra, I've determined there's too much liability and risk associated with my business. I don't want to be filed at the county level. I need to be filed with the Secretary of State because I need that veil of protection to cover me, right? So when you file at the Secretary of State, you're either filing an LLC, a C Corp, a sole proprietor, or an LLP, or S Corp is what it's called, sole proprietor S Corp. So that means that you are now an employee of your own company. That gives you a veil of protection, right? That means that if the company does something, the company absorbs the risk, not you, the person, because you are just an employee of a company that you just so happen to own. Is that an easy way to say that? So, what are the different corporation structures? So, you have S Corp, or sole proprietor, it means it's just you. Okay, it's just you. You don't have any employees. It's just you're the only employee of your own company. Okay, so our C Corp, which could be, well, you're going to have employees in the first 18 months or later, right? You're going to pay a little bit higher in taxes up front, right? You get more tax write-off. Or LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. A lot of people are filing LLCs. If it's just you, you get the same tax advantages as a S Corp, which means that you're going to file a Schedule C with your personal tax returns, but you get to write off so much stuff. You get to, like, I'm a girl, I get to write off my hairstyles when I go get my hair done, my dresses, right? Because it's a uniform, my cell phone bill, right? My car note, because I drive my personal car for business, right? If I'm an LLC. So these are tax write-offs for you. You are just an employee of your own company. You pay yourself a salary when you're able to do so. I know you hear you pay yourself first. No, you pay yourself a salary when you're able to do so. I can't emphasize that more, because if I came to your office and I came to your store and I bought something and you go, "Oh, Cassandra, I don't have a receipt. I don't have any paper." I need a receipt because it's a tax write-off for me. Does that make sense? So you need to make sure you have enough money in your operational budget, right, before you pay yourself. Okay? And an LLP means limited liability partnership. That means there's a license required for what you do. So you'll hear an attorney is an LLP, or a doctor, where maybe two or three doctors came together and they became partners. They're going to start LLPs. Why? Because a license is required for what they do. So they're going to have an LLP instead of an LLC. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, so now we know our name, we know our liability and risk, we know where we should file, whether or not we're going to file a DBA or an assumed name at the county level, or we're going to become incorporated as a sole proprietor or a C Corp or an LLC or an LLP, right? And we file that at the Secretary of State. Right? So these are just definitions. It means that your name cannot be similar to another name. Remember, I said the name has to be available. Well, guess what? It cannot be similar to another name. So let me give an example. So let's say that I want to start my business and I want to name it Sock Maker USA. And Jenny wants to start a business and she wants to name it Sock Maker Texas. Well, because the first two words of that name are so similar, Jenny would have to call me or contact me and ask me, could she use that name, especially if I filed it first, right? And I'll go, yeah, I don't care. It's not the same. I'm Sockmaker USA. You're just Sockmaker Texas. Well, what Jenny has to do is send me a form and I have to fill it out, sign it, have it notarized, and give it back to her. Do you really think I'm getting ready to do all that work? Probably not. So that means that Jenny can't have the name. This is why I say don't go out and get the t-shirts and the business cards first. Make sure that the name that you desire is available at the county level. That's your DBA or assumed name, or at the Secretary of State level, which is where you file your LLCs, your C Corps, right? All right. So the name it has to be unique and it has to be available. Okay. This is an old slide. We don't do this anymore. So a lot of us, and I'll just go into it, a lot of us, we do more than one thing. And so that means that you can have subsidiaries under your corporate structure. And so you already know when you filed your your DBA or your, let's say, LLC, you filed the EIN number with the IRS, right? Because we don't use our social security numbers anymore. Not for business. Social security number is the personal you. The EIN number is the business you. Okay? That's the easiest way to put that. And so now you say, well, Cassandra, not only do I sell socks, but I also bake cakes. So how can I put that all under one corporate structure and have one EIN number? Well, you can set up a subsidiary. You guys have heard of Johnson and Johnson. They own Johnson and Johnson Mop and Glow. They own Mr. Clean. So, but it's all under the Johnson and Johnson umbrella. Well, you can do the same thing. So let me show you in this example. You would file your LLC where? At the Secretary of State, right? So we're going to set up a LLC. We're going to name it ABC Corporation LLC. We filed it with the Secretary of State and we got our EIN number from the IRS, right? So now we're going to file our subsidiaries. Let's say Soccer Us or Sock Maker USA. We're going to file it as an assumed name to the LLC, not to ourselves. Okay. We file Sock Maker USA to the ABC Corp LLC. So we're going to file it at the Secretary of State as an assumed name to the LLC. That means the ABC Corp assumes the risk, not you. And so now you call the IRS, you say, hey, I'm doing business as another name. So I have ABC Corp LLC and the EIN number is whatever it is that EIN number is. And now I'm doing business as Sock Maker USA, right? So you keep everything together, okay? So that means that ABC Corp LLC is doing business as Sock Maker Texas, and you only have one EIN number. Maybe two different bank accounts. It's up to you. But that's how you set up subsidiaries, and you don't have to do them all in the same year. You can do Sock Maker Texas this year, and you can start selling cakes 10 years later. Doesn't matter. You can still set up your subsidiaries this way. So that's when we do different things. Because I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure, if I set up a cake business, you wouldn't buy it from my sock making company. I'm pretty sure you would. Okay, so we got our name, we got our EIN number, right? Because we have filed our corporate structure either at the county level, right? Or the state level, right? We know how to set up subsidiaries, right? So now we need to get a business plan. But I'm not, listen, we don't have that much time to talk about a business plan. But I want you to know that it's very relevant because you have to have a business plan. There's things in your business plan that are so important to you that you have no idea. And I know you guys say, well, I hope that it works out. Well, hope is not a plan. So you got to have a business plan. So in a business plan, you got to have all this stuff. You got to have an executive summary, company description, what's your vision statement, your mission statement, your daily operation, what is your marketing plan, right? We're not going to talk about all that. You got to have a business plan. And I look at my business plan all the time, but we're going to talk about a few things from it. And one is your SWOT, and one is your unique selling proposition, and the other one is your exit strategy. So your SWOT, a SWOT is an acronym, right? It stands for strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So what is the strength of your company? We can talk about that all day. I'm Sock Maker USA. We can make blue socks, red socks, go cowboy socks. We can make socks, teeny tiny socks, baby socks, right? So, right, that's the strength of your company. But the W in SWOT stands for what are the weaknesses? You have to identify all this stuff in your business plan. What are you not so good at? Well, if we had this great sewing machine, we can mass produce socks. I don't know. What are the weaknesses of your company? You need to identify that because at the end of the day, either you're trying to get money to turn that weakness into a strength, or you may need to find a way to turn that weakness. At the end of the day, we got to turn that weakness into a strength. So if I'm looking for a loan, right, and my weakness is I don't have that top-notch sewing machine, right? That's why I need a loan. Then I have to identify what my company is not so good at. Okay. The O in SWOT stands for opportunities. Have you found every opportunity available to grow your business? Okay. And you need to identify that, yes, we plan to market to all the sports teams and professional and high school and football and junior high. And so that O stands for you have thought of every opportunity available to grow that business, right? The T stands the T stands for so have you so your SWOT is an acronym. I can't emphasize enough what SWOT is, right? The T is SWOT stands for threat. What is a threat to your business? What could put you out of business? And I know we don't want to talk about that. We only want to talk about making money, start a business, living my dream. But we have to talk about those things in a business plan that doesn't feel good. What could put you out of business, right? What is a threat? And you have to identify, hey, if I don't get this machine, I can lose this big contract. So I need this funding, right? Because most of the time you need a loan, you got to have a business plan. So if I don't get this money, I'm going to lose an opportunity. That's a threat to my business. Okay. And the next thing we're going to talk about is unique selling propositions, USP. What makes you different from your competition? So you don't want to start a business just like your competitor, right? So if my competitor is Hanes, right? Because Hanes sells socks. Well, I don't want to be like Hanes. I want to be better than Hanes. Have you thought of what makes your company so unique that it can pull other people from going to your competition? Right? That's the objective. You want to pull your competitors' clients to yourself, right? So if Haynes is my competitor, I need to make sure that I can compete on Haynes level. Haynes, they make undershirts, t-shirts, right? Boxers, briefs. They do more than just socks. So I need to make sure that I'm keeping up with my competitor, and I need to make sure that my pricing is correct, right? Right. So that's the your unique selling proposition. What makes you different from your competitors to drive business to you? You should be doing something that's so great and awesome. You don't want to ever set up a business that's just like your competitor. If that's the case, I'll stay with my competitors, right? And the last thing from a business plan are your exit strategies. What happens when stuff happens? We just had a pandemic and a lot of businesses went under. But what is your exit strategy when things go bad? Do you have insurance in place? If you have a partner, do you have insurance on your partner? Right? Do you carry all the insurances? Those things are exit strategies that you have put in place so you can have a soft place to land if something bad should happen where you have to go out of business. Are y'all following me? So we got our name, we got our structure, we got our EIN number, right? We know how to set up subsidiaries. We know what we're good at. We know what we're not so good at. We got a business plan. Now we need agreements in place, right? So if you're going into business with a friend or a family member, you need to have a partnership agreement. What separates friends fast? Money. Money will do it every time. You can go in with the best intentions, but if they feel you're making more money or you look better than them or whatever the reason is, it can ruin your friendship. It can ruin your family dynamic. Why? Because it's money. If you're starting a business with anybody, friend, family, foe, it doesn't matter. Make sure you have a partnership agreement. You can set the terms yourself before you go and talk to someone like me or an attorney. You need to make sure what you're supposed to do in the company, what your partner's supposed to do. You talk about how much you guys get paid, when you get paid. Is there going to be a third payout for expenses? Right? There should be a bucket for that so you know how much the expenses are every month. You should also have a buyout clause. What will it take for me to buy out of this company? And you set those terms. I don't know. All the money I put in plus 2%. I don't know. of the generated revenue. You and your partner you guys come up with those terms. You don't let someone else set those terms for you, but you need to have a partnership agreement. Okay? That way that in the end, if you and I are in business together and I decide I want to leave, there is no love lost because we have a plan in place in case this should happen, right? Maybe I want to take the company in a different direction and you don't want to go. I should have those freedoms to do that, or you should have those freedoms to do that. That's why you need a partnership agreement and a subcontractor agreement. That's when, let's say that I have a company, Jenny has a company, Jenny wants to hire my company to do the marketing for her. That's a subcontractor agreement we're going to enter into. So her company is going to hire my company to do the work. And it's going to talk about what she wants me to do, right? It's going to tell me how much she's going to pay me, when she's going to pay me, right? And there's going to be exit strategies in that agreement. How long is this contract for? Is this a one-time thing? I need to get it done in 30 days or 6 months or a year, right? So we need to have these agreements in place. And then whenever Jenny hires a subcontractor and pays that contractor $601 in a calendar year, she has to 1099 me. I'm a W-9, right? Because if not, that means she paid me under the table. And that's the one thing we do not do. Why? Because that means Jenny has to pay taxes on money she never got to enjoy. I get to get away scot-free. Do you think that's fair? Not to Jenny, I'm sure, but to me, I'm like, hey, I don't have to pay taxes. We don't pay people under the table. That means I have to pay more money in taxes because I have to explain to the government what I did with the money that I didn't have. I paid it to Jenny. But if I don't document that and send her a 1099, I'm telling the IRS that I enjoyed that money. And so they will tax me on that money. So that means that 1099, okay? So we 1099. So we got all of that. So we're still spending money, y'all. So we got our structure, we got our name, we got our EIN number. We know we're good at and not so good at. We know we got to have a business plan. We know about agreements. We're still, now we have to market. So the first thing we do is we run out and we get business cards, right? You said, well, no, we're in the 21st century, Cassandra. I'm gonna just scan card you in, scan your code, and now we're gonna know each other. Well, I'm a little old school. I need a business card, right? I need a business card because I am not as young as y'all think, and I may forget that we bumped phones and I scanned your code. There are people like me that need the tangible touch of a business card. And I'll tell you somebody else that need the tangible touch. That's the government. If you ever think to do business with the government and you want them as a client, they need a business card because they have to show proof to their bosses that they spoke to you at an event or at a meeting. So you still have to have business cards because everybody's not as young as you guys, right? I was going to say y'all because we're in Texas, but you got to have a business card. And guess what? Sometimes you got to have a website. And I know you can do a business page on Facebook or LinkedIn, and that can do away with some of the need of a website. But if you sell items, I want to be able to be in a safe place to put my credit card in there. And I may not do that through a Facebook site. Okay. So if you have a business card, make sure that everything matches. If you get a logo, make sure you get a professional logo, y'all. Please. And make sure that logo and those colors match the same colors on your website. Okay. This is marketing. You're branding yourself. Okay. So you're also marketing when you go into networking events. That's the best way to get clients. Why? Can't no one talk about your business better than you? Right? You can hire me or hire Jenny, but we can't talk about the great and wonderful things about your sock business the way you do. You talk about it with conviction and compassion, right? So you want to make sure you're out networking and not socializing. Because I go to so many events and it may be at the same time there's a football game on because it's football season, y'all. And they're trying to not talk to me and see the game. Or they're trying to get to the chicken wings because we're in Texas. There's food everywhere, right? So make sure that you're out networking, telling people about your business and what you can do. Now, the one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to be a used car salesman. It's not all about buy from me, buy from me. You want to sit and listen. Hey, tell me what you do, Jenny. Tell me about your business. I may not need what Jenny's selling, but I may know somebody that I can refer to her. So I'm always thinking selflessly. It's not about me. I might say, Jenny, you know what? I may not need that, but I know somebody. Can you email me or remind me? And I'll do an email introduction and I'll give you that new business, right? Right, because I want to build a relationship, right? And the next thing, are you on social media? That's a great place to market your business. But I'm going to say this, I have to do a disclaimer. Please clean up your personal page first before you set up your business page. You got people like me, I will go to your personal page and see what you got on there before I go and buy from you. And I'm not the only person that does that. So you want to make sure that your personal social media, because you're a brand. You are a brand that if you're on your personal page, it's got filth, 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 but on your business pages, it's singing opera, you know, it sends a mixed message. So clean up your social media page. Why? Because you are a business and a brand. Your objective is to generate revenue, get new customers, right? But you may lose customers if your social media is not clean. So now that you are a business, you need to clean up your personal social media page and make sure you're on the right social media platform that's for you. Are your clients on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Snapchat? Or where are they? Are they in Clubhouse? So you need to make sure that you're on the right platform to attract your clients. So I did a lot with government contracting. A lot of my clients are not going to be on Snapchat. So that may not be a good platform for me to be on. But for your business, where are your clients? And guess what? You can join groups. Join groups of in your industry where you can drop a flyer in. Right? That's marketing. That's free marketing. But if you haven't communicated in that group, they may not want you to drop a flyer. Okay, so make sure you're also, reaching out and participating in groups that's in your industry. So this next slide is a picture that I took. I love Mexican food, y'all, and I was at a restaurant called J Pepe's. Now this is not J Pepe's. I was looking out the window, and I'm like, oh my God, this is how my clients market. Buffet to go. I didn't even know you could take a buffet to go, you guys. And then they ran out of ink and they misspelled the word drink. And this is what I see when people write on business cards. You're like, oh, my number changed, so I'm going to scratch this out. No, if you can't afford a business card, you shouldn't be in business. Okay, so make sure that when you're out marketing your brand new business or even your established business, that you're not writing on your business cards. And I'm gonna say this in certain cultures, especially the Asian culture, writing on your business card or on their business card is considered tagging. So you definitely don't want to do that. You definitely don't, especially don't do it in front of them. You wait till you get in your car and you write your little notes. This is why I tell people if you're going to get a business card, use the front and the back. There should be something on the back of your business card. Okay, when you buy a business card, you pay for them. Don't you buy the whole card? But then use the whole card, the front and the back. Put your vision statement or your tagline or put something on your services, what all you sell, put something on the back of the business card so people like me don't write on them. Okay. You don't want people writing on your business cards. Okay. So you want to make sure, I already said that you want to make sure you're on the best social media sites to network. You also want to go networking. And where do you find networking groups? On meetup.com, on Facebook, your local chambers or your local associations like the Contractors Association, the Hispanic Contractors Association, the Black Contract, the Women Contractors. It's so many. All right. Be a vendor. Be a vendor at events. That's a great place to meet customers and clients, especially in your industry, whatever your industry is. Be a volunteer. I get more clients from volunteering, and I volunteer a lot in the community. And I'm like, I'm just here to volunteer. They go, no, I heard what you do. Can you, volunteer work and still answer my questions? I'm like, oh my God. Okay. But that's fine because I love meeting Didn't I say I love meeting new people that are starting businesses? So I meet even in the restaurant. When I talk to my waitress at the restaurant, that's a tax write-off, Jenny. I'm gonna tell you, you should start a customer service business. This now becomes a tax write-off. I need this receipt now. You understand? So, man, you guys can network everywhere. So, I'm going to touch real briefly on certification because this is that an opportunity talking. And Jenny, stop me when I'm running out of time. But when you're talking about customers and marketing, don't ever think, don't ever forget about the government. And if you've listened to any of my workshops before, you guys know I love doing business with the government. Why? Because they're just a customer. I just, I look at the government, I take them into bite-sized pieces, right? They're just the government. They have the ability to pay your invoice. And guess what? They buy everything. I just saw a contract yesterday where they were looking for a cheerleading coach. Someone to teach girls how to be a cheerleader. I didn't even know it existed. I saw another one for drug testing. I have a few clients that have drug testing centers. I thought that was a great one. There was another one on there. They were looking for people to make t-shirts. Can you imagine t-shirts? Think about it. We're in Texas. I'm in Texas, right? There are 257 school districts in North Texas. Not all of Texas, just in the region of Texas where I live. If there are 257 school districts and a school has to be within 2 miles of each other, how many schools are that? And then how many football teams, baseball teams, soccer teams, drill teams, swim teams, all of those kids have to have a t-shirt. Math department, math group, business club. Oh my God, I will be a t-shirt making person, I tell you. There was a big contract out. So certification, if you're certified. So certifications have to do if you are a business owner and you are a minority, that means you're Black or African American, Hispanic, Indian, Pan Indian, right? That's you. Then you're a minority or a woman, you were born a woman, you can be certified minority owned or woman owned. And that minority or a woman must own at least 51% of the business. If that's you, you can be doing business with every local government office, school district, college, university, and Fortune 500 company. And what I love most about that is you remember all of those Fortune 500 companies that took that CARES Act money? They are mandated to set aside 40% of all of their business to doing business with certified minority and women owned business. So people like Pepsi, Walmart, Coors, Benny Keith, BNSF, Walmart, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. I can keep going, y'all. Toyota. I love doing business with Toyota and 7-Eleven. Guess what? Super Bowl. World Cup is coming to Texas. If you want to do business with the World Cup, which is a 7-day event, you must first be certified minority or woman owned. Did y'all know that? I have a contract with them. I'm getting ready to do a workshop for them. 3 of them teaching the pros and cons about being certified and doing business with them. It's great. So don't just think this is just government, y'all. Right? So we talked about Southwest Airlines, Walmart. We talked about all of those people. And in the state of Texas in 2021, they did $16 billion with certified minority and women owned business. 16 billion. I need some of that money, y'all. I'm pretty sure you do too. So guess what? There are so many opportunities. And I don't know if I got a lot of time for this, but they're called RFPs. These are just little contracts. These are contracts out there that they have to give to certified minority and women owned business. So I just want to show you guys so you can say, I don't know about what Cassandra's talking about. Here's proof in the pudding, y'all. This is a contract for someone to do marketing, $350,000. I wonder what all they had to do for 350. Anyway, 300, just if your background is doing marketing. I have a client, she had to remember all the doing 4th of July, whatever, all the flags on the flag poles when you go downtown. She created all that. And they paid her handsomely for it, right? And she put the same logo, whatever design on the websites for the cities. That was a pretty good contract. This one is a video reproduction contract. This man, if I had a DVD reproduction machine, I would be a reproducing. Anyway, this is a $946,000 contract to reproduce videos. Are you crazy? This is, oh my God. Okay. And so here's another one for someone to teach assistant loan program. This is for first-time home buyers. So if you're in real estate and you know all about the first-time home buyer program, all you have to do is go out and do workshops on how to buy a house if this is your first time. Man, see, they buy everything. So they buy ice, they buy toe separators, they buy everything. There's nothing that you're selling that that the government is not buying. So NASCAR or the Motor Speedway, what is the number one thing they buy? Ice. Ice. Do you sell ice? Oh my God, it's not just construction services, y'all. They buy everything. And so, guess what? Being certified as a minority owned and a woman owned business, they come look for me. I don't have to look for it. I get stuff in my inbox every day. Hey, based on what you do, here's an opportunity. And I have to sit here and determine for my company, is this something I have time to do? Do I have the fortitude for it? And guess what? These are now they're 1 to 10 year contracts. Guaranteed money. You just got to perform. So, okay, so what does it take for you to be a certified minority or woman-owned business? You got to be born a minority or a woman. You have to prove that with a birth certificate. That minority or woman must own at least 51% of the business and operate the business at least 51% of the time. Now, you can still work a job. Let's say you still work for your employer. That's fine. We just have to prove that you work for yourself at least 51% of the time. Okay. And then there's 28 documents that you have to submit in order to be certified minority. Other than the birth certificate, you got to have experience based on what you say your company does. Do you have experience? Right? 3-year tax returns. Even if you have only been in business 1 day, 3 years personal tax returns are due. Okay, they want to make sure you're a tax-paying citizen. If you're on disability before you started your company, then they just want your disability letter to prove that you didn't have to pay taxes those previous years. Okay, they want to know, do you have any loans outstanding? Do you have any equipment? They want to make sure you have the capacity to win a contract. They want to know, how was your business formed? Remember, we said earlier, are you a DBA or are you incorporated? Why is that important? They want to make sure, based on this contract, right? Do you have the capacity and are you legally protected? You see what I mean? So that's why your structure is so important. They want to know, do you have a license? Is there a license relevant for what you do? Sometimes it's not, right? Do you have a driver's license? Why is this important? They want to make sure that you are a resident in the state that they're going to certify you in first. You can always get out of state, and we'll talk about this in another class. But in the state that you're applying for your certification, are you a resident? So that's why your driver's license or ID is so important. And they want to make sure that you know what your NAICS codes are. We talked about this before. Your NAICS code stands for your Northern American Industry Classification System. It means, what are your job description? What are those words? So if I'm a sock maker, I'm going to Google NAICS. You're going to see U.S. Census Bureau. In the top left corner, I'm going to put in socks, right? Hit enter. Are you a socks manufacturer? Are you a sock retailer? Is it Christmas socks? Is it what's so whatever it says, that number is, that code is, that's my NAICS code. And everybody has more than one. Okay. All right. And you also want to make sure you carry the necessary insurance. Okay. So if you're in construction services, you have to have liability insurance and bonding, right? If I'm in professional services, I have to make sure I have errors and omissions insurance. Okay. Now, there are some sites you need to be registered on so you can receive those email bid solicitations, right? You need to make sure, if you want, you can be on sam.gov. That's a free site, sam.gov, SAM, Sam.gov will give you a list of opportunities like you've never seen before in your life. You're like, oh my God, there's stuff in Massachusetts, there's stuff in Mississippi. Can you go out there and do the work? There's stuff it's in every state imaginable. You can see opportunities. That's a federal site. That's a free one. I'm giving that to you. Was that a lot of information? I'm telling you guys, starting your business, being an entrepreneur, and finding opportunities is what I absolutely love to do. Man, I just absolutely love what I do. And I do workshops all over the Metroplex, all over the United States. And I'm trying to get to that slide uh, here. So I do mentoring. It's a 9 week, but I'm a little intense. So this is for established business. So if you say, hey, Cassandra, I want to start generating revenue, you got 9 weeks, but I give a lot of homework. So if you're a person that don't like homework, I'm not your girl. Because I believe that once you tell a mentor where you want to go, I'm like Elvis Presley. I leave the building, I'm already at point B waiting for you to get there, right? So, but I tell you what, you shall, sounds biblical when I say shall, you shall generate revenue in 9 weeks. So that's you. That's what I do. And we also do retreats. I have one coming up in December. It's going to be in Florida, but it's a working retreat. So if you say, Cassandra, I need to help with marketing, we need to generate revenue, I need to identify clients, I need to know how to get them, I need to come up with a marketing plan and a strategy on how to get it. Think tank retreats I've been doing them now for 8 years, and I'm telling you, you're not going to leave until the work is done. You can stay, but I don't know when you're going to go to sleep, because again, we want to make sure that you're generating revenue, that you're profitable. So, and then certifications, we do them here in my office. So listen, I think I'm done with my slide. I want to open the floor for questions if you don't mind, Jenny. Um,
Definitely. No, this is great. Thank you for the business basics, not basic at all. Lots of fun. Really, really appreciate you and the energy that you bring to everything. Now, getting some questions about that. Everyone wants to know about that list, right? That government contracts list. So is that what the sam.gov is? Is that where you find that
you can
list?
you can find opportunities, but I'm gonna tell you, you're not gonna be able to bid on them unless you're certified. So you can look at all of the opportunities. You can just, it's almost like close your eyes and pin the tail on a donkey. It's going to be a spin the wheel. There's so many opportunities out there.
Okay.
But sam.gov but in order to go on sam.gov, you need your Dun and Bradstreet first.
And how long would you say that takes? If somebody's thinking, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this or not, but I want to be able to see what they are, what type of time investment are they talking about?
So if you have your business established and you have an EIN number, you're going to go on to Dun and Bradstreet. Get your Dun and Bradstreet number. That's free. Once you get your Dun and Bradstreet number, then you're going to go to sam.gov and you're going to apply for your an account. It's free. And so it's going to ask you, your address, so everything needs to match, y'all. Okay. So you can't put a different address that you put with the Secretary of State. You don't want multiple identities. So you put all the same information in SAM. They're going to ask you for your EIN number and your DUNS number. Put those numbers in there. And then I think in 24 hours, you should be able to go back in there and you can just type in construction, contracting, kitchen, I don't know, t-shirts, medical supplies, nursing, whatever it is your company does, and then you'll see all those opportunities. You put the filters in where you want to go, because it'll show you opportunities in all 50 states and Puerto Rico and Canada.
And then are you able to narrow it down based on, like, let's say you live in California? Are you able to narrow it down? Like,
Yes.
okay, I only want to go to California. I only want to go to Northern California or
Yes, you can.
Southern Oklahoma or
Yeah, so you can put in those filters to narrow it down. And then you can click on it. It'll tell you who's putting out the contract. It'll tell you what day it came out. It'll tell you what they're looking for, which is the scope of work. It'll tell you the requirements that you got to have. Then it'll also tell you who can bid. Because you got to remember, the first 40% of all contracts must be given to certified minority, certified woman, and certified veteran.
Excellent. And I took so much away from the previous. You guys know we've had Cassandra on before. You've got to go back. You can search through Sarah's YouTube channel, and you can go back. And there's one where she talks just about government contracts. It's truly fascinating. Um, I mean, it really was so eye-opening, I think, for many of us, thinking, oh, wait, we didn't even realize that these positions existed. And you've really carved out your own, space here in terms of educating people. Let's rewind back. Earlier, we were talking about going into business with a family or a friend, which is, often how things come about. You're hanging out, you have this idea and you say, oh my gosh, we should do that. And then you're like, yeah, we should do that. And that person's your friend, so you think it's going to be a good idea. How would you recommend approaching that person with, I think many people go in thinking, well, this person would never do me wrong, or they would never be selfish, or they would always be generous with me. Even in the closest, most tight knit relationships, how do you go about approaching it with somebody saying, hey, look, I do think we should have an attorney sort this out for us?
I would continue the same thing you said. And I want to stay your friend. You are so valuable to me. I don't want anything to ever separate us. And I know when it comes to money, this has happened to other people. I don't think it's going to happen to us, but I want to make sure that we leave no room for error or incident. And if they say, well, no, I don't want a partnership agreement, then that's when you need to question it, because money separates friends fast. And you never want money to be the reason why you're not speaking to anybody, but it happens.
It does, and you're right. It's a lot. Like, it can be very, very stressful. What would that look like in a practical sense? Is there a certain type of attorney somebody should look for when they're just in those early stages? Maybe they don't even have an attorney. Maybe they've never even worked with an attorney before. Who would they look for?
Well, we do them. You don't have to have an attorney to create a
Okay.
partnership agreement, but you definitely need to sit down and have the hard conversation. And this is where you say, okay, you tell me what you want to do in the business, I'll tell you what I want to do. So now there's no, well, I thought she was going to go out and get the customer. Go back to the drawing board. What did she say she want to do? Right? You talk about how are we going to divide the money. So if it's just me and one other person, there should be 3 buckets or 4. It should be your salary, my salary, the money we need for expense and operations, and a what in case bucket, right? So if something happened, like the pandemic was a what where did this come from? Right? We need money in case stuff happens. Or we need to also talk about what happens if something should ever happen to you. I need to make sure there's insurance on you. And are you okay with that? And you should put insurance on me because I'm valuable.
Totally. And what does that look like? Insurance on somebody? How?
And we can get a quote for that. So now we know what goes into that expense bucket, right? So getting a quote from an insurance agent is free.
What
So
type of
you
insurance is that? I don't even know.
life insurance. So you want
Okay,
life
it's just
insurance.
okay. Okay.
So I want to put life insurance on Jenny. We're in business together, so it's going to fall under whoever your insurance agent should be giving you an umbrella policy. I don't sell insurance. I worked in insurance, but they're going to give you an umbrella policy that talks about the liability insurance for your business. If you have cars or a fleet, what that auto rate or commercial is going to be, and then our life insurance. Right, Jenny is we're in partnership. Your role is valuable. So if something was to happen to you, then the business just dissolves. It can't go on because, you know, no, we need to have things in place. So we need to have the conversation. So if one of us should die, heaven forbid, but if one of us should die, should the business go on or not? It's a conversation. You may say, if I die, that's the end of everything. That sounds selfish, but I've heard it. So what should we do? Do you just gonna leave everything to your kids and then I get nothing? Right? Because I'm pretty sure you have another insurance policy that says if something should happen to me, my kids get everything. Well, the business is part of everything.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Is there a certain level of business, certain amount of profitability you should get to before you do insurance like that? If you're kind of like, okay, we haven't even sold one thing, we haven't even made a dollar. At what point do you go into that insurance conversation?
Well, that's between you and your partner. So when you guys start making a profit and you're like, oh my God, look how much money we make. That's exactly when you go, okay, pull up a chair. We need to have the insurance talk. Because now we're seeing that the business is going so great, or we've made whatever is the aha celebration moment, and go out and get insurance and just have the conversation and go get quotes. Now, it's up to you guys to go and execute policies, but you need to have those conversations because if something was to happen to you, then your partner's spouse or children or whoever they left things to, now your business is a part of their stuff. It's a division of property.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to think about. Okay, Cassandra, before we go, I want to make sure that everybody has your information. I know you put the screen up, and if you guys are like me, sometimes I'll take a screenshot or something. But if somebody's thinking, you know what, I'm ready. I'm ready for that intense coaching, or I want to go to a workshop. Like, yes, I'm ready for the homework. I want to dive in. Oh, great. Sarah's so awesome. They put it in the chat. So Dr. Bradford's phone number is in there and her email address. Is there a website you want to share?
Yeah, it's genesispreferred.com. GenesisPreferred.com. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all of your expertise. You really are a wealth of knowledge. I've learned so much about government contracts from you. In my next life, I'm going to become a media government contractor, and I'm going to tell everybody that you taught me about it.
Yeah,
Thank you
they
so
buy
much.
everything.
Well, listen, we're going to see you next week.
Yep.
Same time, same place.
Yep.
We cannot wait. What's your topic going to be?
Sell the sale.
Oh,
How to sell. How to sell. There's 3 sales to every conversation.
I love it. Okay, well, you guys, same time, same place next week. Do not miss it. If you want to watch the replay before next week's, if maybe you hopped on late or something like that, it will be up on Sarah's YouTube channel, which is linked in the chat. We've got you taken care of, and I can't wait to see you next week. Bye, everybody.